Wake up! I'm Doug and this is the Taste and Sensibility channel. And today on coffee review number 32, we're not looking into coffee, but we're looking at coffee in cuisine, coffee in foods, coffee in cooking. And we're starting off with an oddball here, but we'll get around to things that are more familiar to people. But this first item is a cheese with coffee in it. They call it coffee Gouda from red apple cheese. So we're going to taste this and see if coffee is an enhancement to cheese. But before we get into it, let me remind you to like the video down below, leave a comment or question, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell to get notified when the new reviews come out. And I suspect we're going to be doing something regarding whiskey next. Could be the advent calendar, could be 10 tastes for whiskey drinkers. Just a little tease. But let's look at this thing in front of us right here. So this says, it's just normal Gouda, looking at the recipe, and they say coffee and annatto color. So I think the annatto is a yellowish food pigment that makes the cheese look more yellow, and I think all the brown streaks, splotchy things that make it look like lungs or something, is the coffee that they add. So I think they add liquid coffee. But who knows? Couldn't really tell much from the website. And it only got three stars on Amazon, where it was very expensive. I think they were putting the price into it. But let's get tasting here. It does look a little blotchy. It's brown. It's yellow with brown in it, or light brown cheese with brown in it. So let's see how coffee-ish it is. So on a cracker, I get saltiness and Gouda notes. And there is an extra flavor that you wouldn't expect in it, but I couldn't quite tell it was coffee. These are multi-grain crackers I put it on first, and they've got quite a bit of flavor themselves, so I'll just eat a piece plain. Oh yeah, when it's plain, it is definitely a coffee note, or a couple of coffee notes. It's not necessarily earthiness or chocolatey, but you would identify it as coffee. There's a sweetness too. Maybe some of the milk sugar is still around and making it sweet. So I like that. Let me put it on a plainer cracker. This is just a water cracker type thing. And I've got a bigger piece of cheese. My first one is kind of small, so yeah, it was the runt of the litter here. So a bigger piece of cheese. Yeah, that's a nice effect, and I can tell the coffee's in there. So a bigger piece of cheese and a more neutral cracker with less flavor lets you taste the coffee in there. Now whether or not anybody wants that with their cheese, that's a taste thing or a subjective thing. Yeah, I can tell it. I think I like it. I won't have any trouble finishing off this rest of this 8-ounce package, which I only paid $5.50 for. Someone paid $20 for a 8-ounce portion on Amazon, so yeah, I'd be a little miffed about that too. Yeah, that's really good with the multi-grain crackers there. So, no problem here. Coffee is okay with cheese. I wouldn't say it helps, I wouldn't say it hurts, but I like it, and it's an accompaniment. Okay, yeah, I'll give that a thumbs up. On to the next one. Okay, I'm here at Kung Fu Tea, outside of Kung Fu Tea. I just picked up my coffee milk tea. It's let me mix this up a little bit. Got my large coffee milk tea when I saw them pour coffee from a coffee pot. into this as they were making it, and I got boba, and it's very full of boba, as you can see. So I was about to pop the straw in and give it a taste. Yeah, there's the name on the straw wrapper too. So here we go. The principles of Kung Fu tea. Principle 3 is fearless. So it sounds like there's a whole set of cups. And a little green tea like and a little coffee like. And chewy boba. And some creamy milkiness. Wow. So much boba. So it's got a decent coffee taste. But it's just one of the flavors. I think green tea is pretty strong too. And the boba is just a little sweet, a little fruity. So the first time I had this, there was more coffee taste than tea. This time I'm getting a bit more green tea. So it's good, I like it. There's a coffee note. Several coffee notes, really. Reminds me of brewed coffee. Not instant, not cooked. Not any bad notes to it. And definitely creamy, milky. So this place does it well. I don't know if it's a chain. It must be. There's probably more than one. They have way too much marketing and artwork and stuff. But I don't know of other ones, but this is really good. Cold, icy, milky tea and coffee. So, good flavor. Ooh, lots of solids. Okay, recommend. Okay, here's our next coffee and food item, which is ice cream. So we have here Haagen-Dazs coffee ice cream. We have Whole Foods 365 brand coffee chip ice cream with chocolate chunks in it. We have Trader Joe's Coffee Bean Blast, which looks darker and has little dark specks. And then we have Trader Joe's ice cream sandwich. Ooh, I forgot the name. Should have brought the box, but you know, the picture's up here, so you'll be able to read it. So we're going to go through and taste these and see how much coffee they give us. So Haagen-Dazs coffee ice cream has been one of my favorites for life. I liked it as a child. So it's not very dark, it's just a little tan, light brown. I remember it just being creamy, creamy, creamy. Good coffee flavor. Usually the coffee notes I'm looking for. Yeah, it's not overpowering, it's not strong. But there's no doubt what the flavor is. It's not chocolate, it's not vanilla. This is a good coffee flavor, and the mouthfeel is really pretty creamy. It's coating and thick and gives you the impression it's the full fat treatment. You know, the way ice cream is supposed to be. So, good recipe. Good recipe. Good taste. Good mouthfeel. Everything about it. Wonderful. Now, Whole Foods organic coffee chip ice cream. Pictures of coffee beans on the front, but when you pull it out, they're really chocolate chips inside. So it's about the same color of brown, same little light tan. On the palate, it's not quite as creamy, not quite as rich in mouth coating. I haven't really read label for gels and gums and things like that. Oh, but once you crunch into one of the chocolate chips, it it's different. Definitely a more waxy coating mouthfeel there. Yeah, that's pretty good chocolate. Yeah, it melts well and has that chocolate coating sensation. Coffee flavor is not quite as strong as the Haagen-Dazs. Mouthfeel is not quite as creamy, but overall, in isolation, it would be really good. Chocolate really adds something. So yeah, no reason to dislike this at all. Delicious. Yeah, I want to keep eating that all day. So this one's in grocery stores everywhere. This one's at Whole Foods and Amazon, except I don't know how they ship ice cream. Don't know. Well, I should have some sort of mouth rinse apparatus here, but I don't. So now we're moving on to Coffee Bean Blast from Trader Joe's. Much darker brown ice cream and little coffee ground specks in it. So I don't know if they're used or new or where those come from or what they're for, but we will now taste Trader Joe's. Oh, wow. Much more coffee flavor. Jumps right out. With a slightly bitter finish and everything. A dark coffee, a rich coffee. Really takes my mind off the mouthfeel and the fat, which seems quite adequate. Very ice cream like, decadent. Taste a little bit of the grit. Sense the grit from the coffee grounds. Oh, the coffee punch. And this flavor is stronger than either of these two. So if you after the coffee flavor, this has more. Mouthfeel is just fine. I'm not sure if the ground coffee is adding anything or not, but overall, great effect. Some texture people might not like the coffee grounds. But, oh yeah, this is a good big punch of coffee flavor. So that's definite recommend if you're after coffee. And finally, I left the sandwich for last and have not yet unwrapped it. I popped it open, but I guess I wanted to show myself struggling with this. Oh, here we go. It's coming out now. So a chocolate wafer on top with chocolate chips, chocolate wafer on bottom, chocolate chips, and I see little specks like coffee grounds inside. So, and it's a little lopsided, so and sticky top and bottom. So I'll just dive in. And the chocolate chunks are good. Chocolate cookies, rich and chocolatey. Kind of a soggy texture, as you might imagine, being close to moisture. And I'm not sure I'm picking up much coffee because the chocolate's overwhelming everything. Chocolate wafers, chocolate chips. With all that going on, it's not quite clear that the ice cream is coffee ice cream. So, not bad, nothing wrong with it. Just not getting the coffee flavor you might be looking for. So it's a fine snack, a good dessert, fine breakfast. But the coffee isn't really there on the palate that I'm not getting it. Let me try this. I will take a spoon and just scoop out ice cream without any of the chocolate parts. Yeah, oh yeah, it's coffee ice cream and a good flavor. There's little specks of coffee grounds. It is not as coffee forward as this, but it tastes about like these two, like in terms of the strength of the coffee flavor. So it's good, it's fine, but the coffee loses the battle with the chocolate. So, pretty good collection. This is number one for mouthfeel, I would say. This is number one for coffee flavor punch. And the nothing wrong with any of them, really. So, that'll do it for this set. Okay, so I'm counting this coffee drink as cuisine because I don't ever do coffee drinks. They're exotic to me. They're odd. So this is that Vietnamese coffee over that's brewed into sweetened condensed milk. And it's either consumed hot or over ice. So I think it's Phe Sua if it's just dripped into the milk and you drink it hot. And it's Phe Sua if you drink it over ice. So those are the varieties. So I mentioned this in my coffee video number 21 where I did the Vietnamese coffee. And that's what I'm using today is a 60-40 blend of the Delatte Highlands, Arabica, and the lesser amount, 40% of the Delatte Highlands Robusta. So I've got that ground here, and I got the water heating up, and I'm going to use my Fiend filter brewer, little filter thing. I used the small one in video 21, but I also bought a larger one at the time. So I'm going to do two different versions at the same time. I think this, all my calculations say this is 2.5 times bigger than this other one. So I'm going to make a double batch at least, and then split it. Some will be tasted hot, and some will go into the ice here. So that's the plan. We'll see what happens. So as I mentioned before, this filter is very ingenious and very clever. This filter basket with holes in it sits over another filter with holes, another holder. And what I want to do is weigh out 55 grams of coffee. I'm making it extra strong, so I'm really making it concentrate and dripping it into the sweetened condensed milk. And I will add some water before consuming it either way. So I'm ready here to weigh out 55 grams, which is most of this, or all of this. Just want to do a double check on my weighing. Everything came out of the grinder fine. Oh yeah, fine. That's worth mentioning. My first experiments with this, I ground it too fine. And it took a long time to come out. It was very strong. I liked it. It was tasty, but it took too long. So this is a coarser setting on my grinder. Well, yeah, I'm just going to use all of it. There. And 54.9 grams. So it all came back pretty much. It's all smoothed out, leveled. Then this is another filter plate, another holes. It's got a little handle. Some of them screwed down with a little thumb screw. So this is a good centimeter, maybe 1.2 centimeters of coffee bed. It's very thick. But I'm going to dump out the couple of crumbs there. I'm going to weigh out 50 grams of the sweetened condensed milk. This is so hard to measure out volumetrically. I do tablespoons and end up licking as much off the spoon as I got into the vessel. So I'm just going to try to dump in 50 grams. So there I am at 50 grams of the milk. So back into the bag, and I will edit out me licking this off the spoon. So my electric kettle has been off for a couple of minutes at least. I've got the water in this more photogenic pitcher, pour, and I'm just going to pour enough in here to get a bloom. It is good centimeter. So the idea here is pour in a little bit, get a bloom, have it go through, blooms up, foams, everything is freshly roasted. It's going to give off a lot of gas. So it's just to get the whole bed wet before trying to put through all of it, so there's less channeling. odd pass through the coffee grounds. So I'm going to wait a couple minutes and then check on it. As soon as it's flat and even with the bed, we'll go in and fill it up to the top with water. Okay, it's now dripping through a little bit. I'll let this go down to the bed and fill it up with water. Okay, I think we have a dry bed there. So I'm going to fill up the net 3, 4, 7, I don't know, quite a few centimeters of space, all the way up to the top. More hot water. And then cover it up to keep the heat in. So I think it's flowing pretty good now. I don't ever use this beaker mug, but I pulled it out just because it would illustrate what's going on here. The sweetened condensed milk at the bottom is not dissolving at all. It's just staying its own layer. It usually does. So it needs to take about maybe 6 to 8 minutes for the water to pass through the bed once it's flowing with the full amount that's in there. That's about the right timing, and if it takes a lot longer, you're to ground it too fine. If it goes through too fast, you should grind it more finely. So this seems like a pretty good rate. That's about 1/8 of the distance in the first minute. So I think this is turning out pretty good. About another 6 minutes, 6:45 past my first minute. So, and I've got diminishing returns here, so I think it's about done. So, as I showed before with the smaller unit, this goes down as a little saucer or tray. Let's see. Okay, that's not going to be much. So that goes down a little saucer, coaster, and then that one goes over. Now, I have a mixture here. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm doing this all wrong. Now that I started, I'll go ahead and finish that. So I'm dissolving the sweetened condensed milk at the bottom, mixing it up. It is thick, it does not want to mix, it's mostly oily and sugary to go in there. Now, next thing I want to do, stop the clock and tear, no, not off, there we go, it's on. I need another 100 grams of water, it's hot, oh there we go. Now, oh, I think I just made a pouring problem. Oh well. Oh yeah, that's in the ballpark. So, I'm going to try to pour half this in the ice quickly without a spill. And everybody's watching, I guess, aren't they? That went quite half. That's what paper towels are for. There. Like it never happened. So, since the hot one is the one most likely to change, I'll go ahead and taste it first. I'm going to do a little mixing here, get the ice cooling down this version of the coffee. So the same pot, I have a sweetened creamy iced coffee and I have a sweetened creamy hot coffee. Yeah. So let's see how it goes. Wow, it's very rich, strongish, even with all that cream and water. I made a concentrate and just brought it back to a strong coffee flavor. Just the right amount of sweetness, just the right amount of creaminess. And I can see lots of people wanting more cream and more sweet, so that's okay. You can do a little more than I did. And lots of these little filters come in lots of different sizes. So check your instructions, check the capacities, and adjust. Or just use your experience. So that is a good, rich brew. And the sweetness doesn't overpower the coffee flavors. And I think I can sort of pick out the Arabica and the Robusta both. They bring different things to the mixture, but the blend is good. So I'd say that's successful, besides the pouring. Now, the ice version. It's almost about done melting ice. And it might taste a little weaker. You can forego the water or make it a little stronger. Oh, that's nice. It is watered down a little too much. So don't do that last water addition I did into there before dumping it into the ice. This ice melting is the water. But that's really tasty. So I'm going to go watch YouTube and finish this guy off. See you on the next one. I guess I'm going to show the decor of the restaurant. So the whole restaurant is decorated with fanciful portrayals of the Mona Lisa, done by children up through professional artists. Okay, now I'm going to eat the Caesar salad that's also prepared by professionals. So I'm just enjoying a little linguine and clams before the main event of tiramisu. This is pretty tasty. Good red sauce, good clams, good linguine, al dente. I added some cheese and some crushed red peppers.
And it's not, and a lot of these nets are not even necessarily food, but it's something that people believe in. So,
All right, is there anything else I
Okay,
can do
great.
for you?
Thank you. That's it.
Enjoy.
There's the tiramisu, cocoa or maybe espresso powder on top. I see lady fingers and some creamy stuff, and I don't know what else. And I have some coffee that I'll taste before I add cream. Okay, I'll eat this now, before the coffee pollutes me. Very soft and cakey, and some dark color in the wafers and the lady fingers. It's a good light, fluffy coffee flavor. There's just one of the notes. So coffee is just a light flavor. There's some sweet, there's some dairy. Pretty sure it's mascarpone in here. And coffee is just one of the things. There's a fatty mouthfeel. Yeah, it's a great combination.
Yeah, yeah.
It's light and not heavy, like a good dessert. So, I understand that. Okay, I'm going to switch to coffee now. Let's test their coffee here. She said she made a new pot for me. So I assume that means automatic drip. Oh wow, that's good. It's rich. Tastes like a restaurant. It's very hot, but it's got that rich restaurant coffee flavor that I recognize every time. Yes. That's good. Not really too hot to drink. But it's a dark, rich, more burnt, less fruity, not acidic type of coffee.
Hope you enjoyed your tiramisu.
It's wonderful.
Good, glad you liked it.
I know, we are totally compliant.
Well, you haven't given me your name and number yet, so you're not really that compliant.
I know, okay. You know my first name's Samantha.
Okay, good coffee, but I'm going to make a desserty now.
I have your number.
Yeah, I know, I do. You're on my speed dial.
I have that.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Hi,
May I get your name and phone number for contact tracing?
right there.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So, how we know?
By the bottle, by the glass, and then beer and...
So are your ancestors going to also